Hello, and welcome back, MK Army, to the next microeconomics lesson. Today, we're going to be covering consumer choice. Let's get on to it. In order to understand consumer choice and how consumers make optimal decisions, we'll take it step by step and first look at the difference curve. First of all, the difference curve can be defined as a set of all consumption bundles that can provide the consumer with the same level of utility, or in other words, level of satisfaction from consuming certain goods and services. So first of all, it's important to know that difference curves are always downward sloping and they can never intersect. And so they help to measure the amount that the consumer is willing to give up to obtain more of another goods. So for instance, we have on our y-axis, we're going to have one good, bananas, and then on our x-axis, we have apples. So as we're moving down the utility curve, we're substituting apples for more, we're substituting bananas for more apples. So, and this is when the notion of marginal rate of substitution comes in, or MRS, which measures, as I mentioned earlier, the amount a consumer is willing to give up one good for another. And so, and if we take different utility curves here, we see that the utility curve 2 is above utility 1, so there's greater satisfaction received, and utility 3 receives even more satisfaction. And the different points are different baskets preferred for the consumer. So we can see basket A, for instance, it's preferred to basket B, it's higher above, while basket B is preferred to D, it's higher than at a higher point than D. So these points are different baskets of goods or different bundles. They're synonymous that consumer would choose to consume. In order to fully grasp the concept of consumer choice and how to make the optimal decision, we'll now look at the second part, which is budget constraints, and then we'll combine the two together, utility and budget constraints. So budget constraints is characterized by the budget line, which is depicted right here, that represents all the combinations of goods for which the total amount of money spent is equal to income. So now we scratched the example with bananas and apples. Now we have bread in our y-axis and juice in our x-axis, and we're seeing how our budget is allocated to these two goods, and it must be fully used on these two goods. So we see this function here for the budget line. And so our PX and PY are the prices of these two goods. So PX is price for X, for good X, and good X is juice, times X, the quantity of juice, plus PY, price of good Y, bread, times Y quantity of bread, and equals to income. So this is the function we have. So we need to make sure that we fully use our $36, and there are different ways that we can allocate our budget, of course. For instance, if our B equals to 9, which would be a point right here, that means we're fully allocating our budget to bread, and then J has to be 0. In the case when B, for instance, equals to 3, which would be a point about here, that means that we have 4 times 3, 12. So 36 minus 12, we have $24 remaining. So J must be 8 in order to get spend those $24 remaining. So 3 times 8 will be 24. So this point right here will be 3, 8. So 8, 3. So 8 for juice and 3 for bread, in order to get at $36 in total. And the slope of the budget of this budget line would simply be the price of for good X over price of good Y, so the price for juice over price of bread, and it must be negative, and that's how we find the slope. Now we're ready to put these two curves together and find the optimal choice. So that would be the highest point on the indifference curve, which is right here, our utility curve, that touches the budget line. So this is our budget line. And so this is also known as a tangency point. So our optimal choice, which occurs only once, and that is when our satisfaction is maximized. And at this point, we can say, okay, that's the marginal rate of substitution so for U1, that must equal to price ratio, or in other words, slope of the budget line. And so these two, the slope of the indifference curve of this point must equal to the slope of the budget line. So this at this point, so that's how we get our point of y star and x star. And check out the optimization video where I'm solving step by step how to go over exam types of questions for these problems, and you will understand much better how to apply this theory to the different cases. Thank you for watching, and check out the rest of our videos and drive for more exercises and notes, and slide into our DMs if you have any questions and any point. We're always happy to help. Thank you and see you later.